Welcome to Fargo Talks Fargo, an unofficial podcast on the FX television series. Fargo Talks Fargo is hosted by me, Bill, and my buddy Sharpie.
Hey
This
now.
season of Fargo... Oh, shoot, I forgot to let you do your thing. This season of Fargo Talks Fargo is sponsored by Fargo Brewing and their Wood Chipper IPA. Visit fargobrewing.com to learn more about their delicious beverage. Also, today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/Fargo Talks Fargo and sign up for a free 30-day trial. Books are fun.
Books.
Hello, Sharpie. I just got back from Rapid City. I didn't see Ben Schmidt there, but I did drink some beer and smoke some cigars.
Hey, that counts
That's
for
something.
something.
That's a deal.
It's something.
Yeah,
And you
So
did go
let's-
to Rushmore,
I did.
not the convenience store.
Nope, not the convenience store, and not the Jason Schwartzman film. So let's talk about The Castle, Season 2, Episode 9, as things come to a close. Quite a rousing little chip that was this week.
Oh, there were a lot of good payoffs in this episode.
Yeah,
It was mostly payoffs.
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
So
not
what
a
do you-
lot of like. I mean, definitely some Coen Brothers symbolism and things like that. Not a lot of mind games or anything like that. Just pure, good old fashioned, violent fun.
Good old fashioned. Wow. Yeah, this is definitely the. Yeah, I mean, the payoff is the only way to talk about it. I mean, this is the payoff we've been teased from season 1.
That's right.
You know, haven't seen something like this since Sioux Falls. It's Sioux Falls all over again, and now here we are, and it's happened.
So there we got it.
Yeah,
Everybody satisfied? I
yeah.
am.
Let us know.
So I think
So-
I think the finale will probably be more of just like how do we come from all of this? We're not going to see much more of that because there's not many people left.
No, not really. So why don't you take us into this?
Well, the castle, I think everybody's kind of assuming it references the Kafka book, The Castle.
Mhm.
And without having to read that, you can quickly go over to your good old friend Wikipedia and get the gist of it.
Where all
and
the
I
knowledge
think
is
this
at.
is a pretty straightforward thing. I mean, I think this pretty much surrounds Lou, but we'll see. We'll get your take on it as well. But so the novel is about basically a guy coming to a town that's governed by this sort of weird group of authorities that nobody really knows, and he's trying to gain access to the town. He's trying to like become a citizen of the town, I believe, and he can't. So he ends up he gets a pass to work and live there, but he's just running into all these walls from this like kind of unresponsive bureaucracy.
Yes.
And that must be Lou's struggle throughout the episode with the Sioux Falls authorities.
Yeah, I thought it was also a little bit like Rhinoceros. Well, like one person
Sure.
who's different. You know, that it's there's it feels like at times there's been a lot of one person against the world, and the universe is going to dish some weird shit at you. So that's my thoughts. You were asking. So
Yeah.
I told you.
So yeah, I mean Lou just runs into wall after wall after wall when trying to deal with the South Dakota guys.
Yeah.
And it starts right away in the cabin, especially when the Sioux Falls Chief Cheney, he just as they leave, he says he'll show Lou what a South Dakota necktie feels like, which I assume he means like hanging him, like a noose.
I don't know. Maybe it's just made out of chislic.
Maybe it's like a bolo tie, just with chunks of meat on it.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a bolo tie.
I think we just
the slide is just one chunk of chisel.
Oh, okay.
Just one chunk of chisel.
We may have invented some new snack fashion.
Yeah, you could probably
Is snack fashion a thing? Did we just maybe we
coming
invented
soon.
a whole genre of fashion, snack fashion,
Coming soon to a convenience store like Rushmore.
wearable meats.
Wearable meats. Just, you never know when you're going to get yourself in a bind. I think too, it's the, wow, sorry, I got caught up in my own thought there. Yeah, there's just been a lot of, and there's just so much stuff of, like the word absurd, I think is very relevant this season. There's so many things that are just, crazy like that. And
like over the top, heightened to an absurd point.
yeah.
And this episode really was a fantastic culmination of all the absurdity. Right, up to the UFO and everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, that's absurd.
Hey,
And
by the way,
I'm
spoiler
okay with
alert.
it.
If you haven't seen the episode, we just blew the UFO thing out of the water.
Well, yeah,
there's
if
a
you haven't
UFO.
seen the episode, probably shouldn't listen to the podcast.
Probably not a good idea.
Or maybe. I don't care, really.
No. We're this far into the season. If you're downloading the show and listening to it. But yeah, I was really happy to, I thought it was an interesting book of the saga. The history of, what was it? The history of true crime in the Midwest?
The history of true crime in the Midwest. Yes, that was a fun little touch. And being the nerd that I am, I had to go through that paging of the book frame by frame the whole time. And I did notice that I was like, oh my gosh, did they really write all this content for this book as they're paging through it? But no, I mean, there's like a page of content that's just repeated over and over and over again.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And unfortunately, when they freeze on one of the images in the book, two identical paragraphs are side by side, unfortunately. So that was probably just a little bit of a flub because that made it kind of obvious. But yeah, the words in the book are what Martin Freeman is narrating. And I pulled out a few interesting things from some of that content that are maybe just tidbits.
Yeah. Tell us.
Well, the narrator says that, the events that took place in Sioux Falls shaped Ed and Peg's life from then on. And with that, I feel like that's sort of alluding to the fact that they probably will survive, because otherwise, why would you say, yeah, and this changed their life forever if they're only around for like another day?
Mm-hmm.
So I think based off of that, we can predict that Ed and Peg are going to make it through this, which I think we kind of figured.
Yeah. It seems like they survived like completely on dumb luck to me.
But maybe not anymore from now on, because now Peg's being. She's not thinking, she's being.
She's realized.
Yeah. And you were right on the hot dish. You said realized and I said actualized. She does say both.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So another thing I got out of that book was I didn't know if we knew that Otto actually got frostbite in that hospital parking lot after his henchmen were killed.
I don't think we know that. I think that's just one of those tidbits.
Which is kind of interesting. Ed Blomquist's dad his name is Frank Blomquist, and he was a shoe salesman. Peggy's mom was Nora Knutson, which I think we may have known. She died of breast cancer when Peggy was 10.
Ooh.
And Peggy had to go off to live with her aunt. Kind of interesting. Peggy dated a guy named Tim in high school, and they were in love. Tim went off to enlist in the army to go to Vietnam in 1970, but in 1973 he died in an army training exercise.
Is that what makes Ed her white knight? Or,
So Ed ended up confessing his love for Peggy since they were in high school.
Yeah.
And went on this sort of long wooing courtship kind of thing where Peggy was at first not really responsive to it, but then just kind of gave in.
Oh, imagine that.
Yeah, so that's, I thought that was the most interesting of the little tidbits, because that kind of explains that, you know, she basically settled on Ed, and she was probably never fully into him.
Yeah, I mean, it always, ever since she said you've been a real paladin, I feel like it really gave us the idea that she kind of married him out of, like, she feels for him, but just not that way, but she had some sort of obligation.
Mm-hmm. But that book was just super fun to page through, I guess, in air quotes.
Yeah.
I loved the illustrations. Being a guy that draws pictures almost all day long, I thought that was super fun.
Yeah, they're great.
I like how the show Fargo isn't afraid to completely change things up, in terms of like shooting styles from episode to episode, in terms of the way the way the narrative plays out, the way this one is actually narrated.
Yeah.
Especially beginning this season with the fictitious Ronald Reagan movie. That was interesting. I like these little sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a vignette of storytelling.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
But I find that pretty fun, and I just love how they just don't. There's no rules in this universe for them. They can just do whatever the fuck they want, and I'm down with that because I like what they do. So after the pretty neat little interesting opening, we go straight to that Rushmore store. And now that we know, and we've kind of mentioned it before, and you mentioned it right away, is these references to Rapid City. So now I'm wondering if that Rushmore store isn't a reference to Rapid City, because we know Benjamin Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
We know he said, "Oh, it's like Rapid City all over again." We know that convenience store is called Rushmore. So now I'm wondering if those are the references that are starting to come out, or if there maybe have been some in the past that we maybe overlooked. Now I'll have to go back.
Yeah, I found it interesting too that yet again, this TV show is referencing another point in time, like last season, and we're doing the Bemidji thing, and Lou is like, "Oh, it's Sioux Falls, it's and now it's Rapid City all over again." I think it also could be, maybe it's just a really light statement on the fact that these types of things happen over and over historically, cyclically. There's just a lot of shit in the world. You know, I mean, if you think about it, so like we're in whatever, God, I forgot what year it was, but we're in whatever year in Bemidji season 1, and it's Sioux Falls. Now we're in Sioux Falls, and it's it's Rapid City. How far back can you take
2006? Is that right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Anyway, it's just, and then you think about the referencing of the massacre of the Indians, the Sioux Falls massacre. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's just like this recurrent theme of massacre.
Yep.
And what's the point? And things are, yeah.
So we get a little bit of a tidbit of perhaps Hansi's history with Otto, right? So how did you interpret that? We hear what I think was pretty clearly Otto's voice, and Hansi, like, it's sort of like a flashback, only we don't see it.
Yeah.
Where it sounded like Otto may have killed his family or his parents or something like that.
I don't know. I guess I didn't focus on that in my thing here, but I thought it was interesting. Did you notice in the scene where he's cleaning up his, sorry to hijack this a sec, did you notice that the poster in the window, in the mirror behind him when he's dressing his wounds, is a poster for a lost dog?
Oh, no. That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I was doing the whole, like, moderate dyslexic thing, too, and I was like, well, dog is just God backwards. But I mean, references, or Hansi is continually referenced to as sort of the
the family dog, kind
A
of.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a half breed.
Mhm.
You know, what did he call him? God, I don't even have my notes in front of me. My bad. Like when he lost his shit in the previous episode, he called it mongrel. You know,
Yeah,
all references to that kind of thing.
that's a good catch.
In a mongrel, I mean, if seeing as Wikipedia is our friend here, I just did it. A mongrel, mutt, or mixed breed dog is a dog that is not the result of breeding. You know, So yeah, so he's literally he's a lost dog. I'm
He's
not
the lost
suggesting
dog.
that he's. I'm saying they're saying that. I'm saying he's a dog. But
I
yeah,
liked I mean, we mentioned in the hot dish the alien stickers. I really liked the I break for grays. That shows up twice, actually. It's over by the other alien sticker that says "We're not alone" or something like that. But it's also on the way to the bathroom on the front of the counter. I break for grays,
yeah.
meaning little
Future
alien
is
bodies.
here.
Future is here.
We're not alone. Here's the deal. We knew this was. If you didn't think the UFO was going to show up, you were getting telegraphed some pretty heavy doses of it's going to happen. And that's
I don't know. I wasn't positive. I thought it was just kind of gonna always be this thing.
No, I wasn't positive, but I was very, very confident that it would happen because I can't remember where it was early in the season I brought up that, or maybe I can't remember if I brought it up on the show or if it was in a conversation we had that he had, Noah Hawley had said, don't worry, I'm going to tie this loose end up. It's not going to be, there's going to be a very deliberate thing that lets you know.
Oh,
and
yeah,
so
that's right.
I was like, okay, we're in season 9, and I knew he wasn't going to be like, hey, let's just float an alien in at the end of episode 10 or hour 10,
Mm-hmm.
So and then the minute I started seeing these UFO stickers that they were just very blatantly showing us. I mean, that's only like 2 minutes into the show, and they're already going, hey, the future's here, UFOs. It's
happening
going
now.
down. It's going down.
The future you've been waiting for is right now. That's what they're saying. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I'm still trying to, where's I break, though? I'm still trying to find it. But yeah, either way, have you noticed too, the other thing, just, we might have some more we can feed into this because we're working on having an interview. And I know by the way, I haven't got the Maggie one up yet. I'm working on it. There's a lot going on with that. And it was super fun that we chatted with Maggie and Jeff and everything. But can't wait to try talk to the prop master, Trolf, TROLF. Have you noticed that is the brand of like super glue? It's the brand of peroxide. It's also the people who make Bust bug spray. It's like they're the Procter and Gamble of the day in this Fargo universe.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah, these are things that don't change the story. They're just I love these kinds of fun things. So Hansi's a lost dog. So long to the clerk, right?
Yeah, poor old fellow.
Yeah, that guy, man, he just gets picked off.
Yeah, Hansi's a good shot.
No kidding. For a guy who was doing hand-to-hand in the tunnels in Nam,
yep.
He's pretty sharp.
Tunnel rat.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we already talked about, then we get to the cabin,
yeah.
The South Dakota necktie. We kind of talked about all that.
I really found the
Mike
conversation outside the cabin interesting. Where they're like, yeah, see, the thing is this. The precinct is kind of owned by the mafia. So we can't take Ed and Peg there. They just flat out admit it, which I thought was hilarious. And how the precinct and the cops were owned by the Gerhardts, and now they're owned by Kansas City. So Kansas City is... The Kansas City Corporation is coming in, and they're just taking charge and taking over. But I loved how uncomfortable Ben Schmidt looked when they were talking about that, because he's clearly a part of that. He knows full well like he's probably getting dished cash under the table too.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm with my people.
Yeah, and that's when so you see him kind of not really, I guess uncomfortable might not be the word, or maybe it is, but you see him standing out there and he's kind of taking himself a little bit out of the conversation. He's kind of looking around, he's fiddling with his wardrobe, but then he gets this little chip on his shoulder over Lou, and starts making fun of Lou a bit and feeling like a tough guy, which remains throughout the episode.
I think it's because he finally feels like he's got enough of his quote unquote people to do. Here, you want me to play this?
Tell him.
We can't vouch for the safety of the precinct is the thing.
What kind of chicken shit outfit you running here, JC?
I don't drive to your backyard and talk about how all your heads are flat.
What does that mean you can't vouch for the safety?
We got graft, I'm saying. Money changes hands. Used to be Gerhardt money, now it's Kansas City.
Corruption.
Allegedly. But, well, you bring these two into custody, can't guarantee they won't hear about it down in Kansas City.
And they'll send, an army.
So we take them north. Someplace where people got their heads on straight.
My state, my prisoners.
Well, wherever we're taking them, we need to go soon. I've been under siege once this week, not really
There's
interested.
a third way. We wire the redhead. Send him into the meeting with this Milligan fella, get the conspiracy on tape. We're lucky we bust the whole operation.
No.
That look right
Son,
there.
I'm looking around and you're outranked here 9 ways to Sunday.
You can't. These two? You saw them?
Well, they're doing better than us so far.
Yeah,
I thought that was
through
an interesting
blind
line.
luck. They're not up to... Believe me, we're in a wire.
They'll make the effort if they think it'll keep them off death row.
Look, I've met this Milligan fella. It's not amateur hour. He gets one whiff, Ed's dead before the time it takes to blow your nose.
Thought you were Gary Cooper. Turns out you're Betty LaPlage.
I'll say that again.
Look, you brought your shit to town, son. I'm just trying to clean it up. And I say we squeeze the lemons we got and use the juice to catch these big fish. So get with the program.
Don't trust anything that comes from the sea. So anyway, yeah, that moment where he just kind of gives the old, yeah, I'm Ben Schmidt, Betty LaPlage, and you'll remember her from the very beginning of the very first episode. She stars with Ronald Reagan in The Massacre at Sioux Falls.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Cheney's a dick.
Cheney's a dick.
JC?
Did you know? I thought there was, maybe I'm making something out of nothing, but those two that are taking the Kansas City money, I thought it was, that they're trying to push their own agenda. They're both kind of fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're fat off the proceeds. They're desk jockey and they don't need to do the job. They don't. I don't know if that's. It feels like it's intentional. That they're both just really plump, pork fattened kind of.
Side pork eating.
Yeah. I mean, look around. Everyone else is like kind of normal, but these two from this particular precinct that have, that they can't vouch for their,
Maybe
Right.
they're just bored. Not a lot of action in Sioux Falls. Now they got this. Now they get one little piece of action and they just want to own it. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is ours. This is our candy.
Once you've had
Get
a
outta
hot
here, kids.
pocket, you can't go back. You were trying to figure out what was something with Mike Milligan about the song he was whistling. Was that you were talking
Yeah,
about?
so once we left the cabin, we see Mike Milligan on the phone with presumably Hamish, I imagine, his boss. And I thought that was a pretty cool little conversation. He mentions how, the Undertaker, he never showed up, I guess. But, I'll take care of this business. You don't have to worry.
Mhm.
And a great little scene at that phone booth, which was super fun. And yeah, he walks away from that phone booth and he's whistling a tune. I was just wondering what that tune was. Do you know? But
I'm just trying to hear it. I want to
Okay.
play it.
it's as he's walking across the road.
I don't know. I feel like I should know it.
Somebody will know it. I thought it was maybe another song that played throughout the episode, but I don't think it is.
Hmm.
So then we transition into the Solverson house, and this I thought was brilliant, and I kind of wish we'd seen this before we talked to Maggie. But when we're in the kitchen and Sylvia's mother is playing on the radio, the song Sylvia's Mother by Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, that song is from 1972. I thought that song fit so perfectly with the narrative that's going throughout the show, kind of, with Lou. Because the song is specifically about a man trying to contact a woman over the phone, but the woman's mother is standing there in the way of him. Like it's kind of like the castle as well.
Yeah.
Sylvia's mother is kind of the bureaucracy that's in the castle that is not letting this communication happen. And all the while, Lou is trying to call home. He's trying to get a hold of Betsy. And this is going on throughout the entire episode. He's trying to connect with his lover, his wife, mother of his daughter, and he just can't get through. And that's what that song is about. And as it's playing on the radio and then kind of ramps up into the actual soundtrack of the scene, I thought it couldn't have been more fitting. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
And it's heart-wrenching. Exactly.
Heart-wrenching,
yeah. I mean, the song's a heart-wrenching song as well. I mean, it's not, it's not like about death or anything, but it certainly makes you, feel. You can understand that frustration because in the song, he's just trying to get a hold of this woman who he loves, just so that he can say goodbye because they're no longer together. All he wants to do is talk to her one last time and say his goodbye, and he doesn't get to do that, and neither does Lou. Lou never gets to say goodbye. Assuming Molly is.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I just when I watched that scene, it had it happening. I tweeted about it. I was just like, "Fuck!" Oh,
it was tough because,
I,
like you said earlier, and that episode isn't out yet, but she's the heartbeat of the show.
I think so, or maybe I have said it one other time, or did I just say it in the podcast episode? I'm still editing a special one. Maybe
we've talked about it. I don't know if we've used those specific words, but we've definitely talked about how she is basically the heartbeat of the show. And that is another one of those, I mean, I hate to call it a payoff, but it's something you knew was coming and going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And for all of these to happen in one episode was a little bit overwhelming. And I've heard some people kind of describe this episode as maybe lazy, but I don't think so. Just because there was a lot of action and a lot of killing and less dialogue than there normally is, I don't think it was lazy. I thought that it was rewarding. This is kind of the things everybody knew was going to happen and have been waiting for to happen, and now they have.
Yeah, I mean, sooner or later, this all has to come to a point. And it's happening.
Yeah, so Molly was going to go show her. Molly's hanging out with Noreen, which was pretty cute. Molly does this little picture, and it's a picture of like a weird, like cat-like monster-ish thing. I don't know if we're going along the theories of 3 in this episode. The cat has 3 dark clouds above its head.
Yeah,
and then two trees to the side of it, and I'm wondering if those 2 trees are now the 2 Solversons that are left, because there's a big tree and a little tree. So I wonder if that's Lou and Molly now growing old.
Oof. I don't know.
I could be reading into these things way too much, but
that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. And,
take everything with a grain of salt.
I don't know. Yeah,
we'll talk to the prop guy and we'll be like, "No, actually, I just drew a cat and some trees."
It's Chupacabra.
Yeah. Chupafargo.
I just keep thinking about who Molly becomes, though. You know, and just thinking about this scene of finding her mother, you know, on the floor, probably. What that does to her. Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes me sad.
It is a little bit sad.
Yeah. And so Lou's back at the Rushmore, and there's another, you know, carry on with the UFO things, because there's another one at like almost 16 minutes in, if you own the show.
Mhm.
There's a big thing that says UFO in a poster. It just says UFO.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times did the word aliens or UFO show up before we, you know, even got close to seeing that, you know? So it's, if somebody was surprised, I mean, I was surprised, but I don't know how to, yeah, I've already kind of explained it, I guess. I was surprised, but I just knew it had to be coming at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So
when Lou's on the road, I like how he kind of tricks the Sioux Falls authorities into getting on the radio with Hank, because it doesn't state his name or anything like that. So the radio buzzes in the trooper vehicle, and they're saying, yeah, some Minnesota authority wants to talk. And it's Lou trying to get a hold of Hank and say basically, hey, man, these goons are not making the right decisions. We need to stop and think about this here. And he says something specific that I think is a reference to the castle. He says he's being run out of town by these guys. And that would be, I mean, that's a direct reference to the castle, because the guy in K is the character, just the letter K. He's basically feels like he's being run out of town because he can't get access to, you know, his citizenship. And he ends up just dying in the town without ever getting it. That the show's going that far with the symbolism, but that book, The Castle, was actually never finished because Kafka died in the process of writing it.
Yeah.
So I guess we don't know how that story ends.
Nope.
But we get over to the Motor Motel. Fun little fact, there is a Motor Motel in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm. It's not this hotel. Shares some similarities, but you can look it up on TripAdvisor if you care to choose. It's called the Bismarck Motor Motel. Bismarck is the capital of North Dakota, for those that don't know.
Bismarck, Bismarck.
BK, don't forget that C.
Yep. Gotta put that in there.
And so the Motor Motel is the housekeeping award winner.
Is it?
That's what it says on the sign.
It's fantastic.
Just housekeeping award winner.
Yeah, the beds are completely uncomfortable, but it's clean as hell.
So right when we get to the Motor Motel, Hank wants to have a word with Cheney because he wants him to slow down a little bit, and they have this little conversation. And I would kind of like to play this clip because he says some interesting things that I'll follow up with after we hear it. If you have that ready at all,
I do right here. Here you go.
Hey, Captain, talk to you for a second.
Your man was out of line.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he was having a feeling. This mess has got us.
You Minnesota boys don't got much in the way of backbone now, do you?
Oh, no. I wouldn't say that. Just like to think things through.
Army?
Yes, sir. Liberated France in the Great War. Not single-handedly, but I like to think they couldn't have done it without me.
Well, then you know it's the generals that do the thinking. And everybody else just says how high.
I'm not going to debate the merits of top-down decision-making with you, Captain. Except to say, I had a lieutenant in the war. And he told Eisenhower to go to hell once on account of his orders would have got us all killed. And I send that man a card every Christmas. Because I can.
Stay or go. Makes no difference to me. But tomorrow, I'm taking the fight to the enemy.
I love that the beginning of that scene was through the lens of Hansi's spyglass.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of fun.
On
top of the cinematic.
On top of the optometrist building
How can you beat me to that? In big letters. I didn't even, sorry, I wasn't even scrolled down the page. I didn't see you had that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad. I wasn't. Oh, cool.
Try to keep up, Bill. No.
Yeah, no,
So-
I was busy getting your clip queued up, you big jerk.
So we've got some interesting facts here and some answers to some questions we've had and kind of assumed we knew the answers to, but I guess we didn't. So we kind of always assumed Hank was either in the Korean War based on his age or possibly World War II. But he says he liberated France in the Great War, which is World War One. So that doesn't
Yeah, but
really
Eisen.
say what?
Oh, go ahead. Just keep going.
I mean, I'm sure maybe World War II could be referenced or could be called the Great War, but I think usually the Great War refers to World War One when it's
Well.
usually said. But maybe at that time it was different. I don't know. Maybe somebody else has some answers.
It is
out there.
World War II because that would be during Dwight D. Eisenhower's presidency, is what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay. So then they did call World War II the Great War. Then I mean, usually
Yeah.
every time I've heard it, it's always been World War One.
No. I guess I haven't thought about
I mean,
it.
World War II would make way
just-
more sense because if it was World War One, which ended in 1918, 61 years ago, if he was 18
Yeah.
in the service, that would mean he's at least 79 years old. And I just don't think that's the case.
Nope, that's
So-
not the case. No, he's definitely,
Right.
in that what they would call the greatest generation.
Yeah.
He's
I
in
mean,
that
I just got hung up
But
on
they
the
do
words, the Great
they do
War.
call the First World War the Great War.
So,
I know. I mean, but either way,
right.
who knows? I don't know. There's no way he's 79.
No.
Unless
Not
I got my
79.
Eisenhower wrong. And now I'm self-doubting. You know?
Yeah.
Keep going and I'll look it up.
I mean, that's really mostly what I had. I loved how he just really stuck up for Lou right there. I love his feelings. He's just got this. They both have these very similar instincts. Hank and Lou. They really do share that together. And it comes into play throughout the entire episode. They both have this connection, even though they're not father and son. They're father-in-law and son. But they do have very similar instincts and very similar values, and they just know when something's not right. And when we're talking about, we're talking about this a lot during this show, but when we're talking about payoffs, I do really think Hank Larson, Ted Danson's portrayal of Hank Larson was another payoff because we really got to see more of him. We've always wanted to. He's always been there for little quips that have been very fun and very nice to have and super entertaining. But this is the first time we've actually seen a lot of Hank Larson. And
Yes.
that to me was another payoff. So it's just like gift after gift after gift with this episode, in my opinion.
I think too the big gift, we've got a lot of, and we've made no bones all season long about the fact that we love Ted Danson in this role.
Mhm.
But I also I think here's something I've realized I enjoy about Ted Danson's character in this season. I mean, we've got people like Carl Weathers who are very wordy and interesting, and Mike Milligan who's the same way, and they're very I think it's the softness of Hank. And when I say softness, I don't mean he's not tough. I mean the delivery of his character is all the way down to what you just pointed out. The slow down and think a bit. Like Hank, everything about the way this character is played, in my opinion, is really like sit back, sit in the pocket, and just really like let the dialogue do the work. And he doesn't have to overact anything. It's just, I don't know. I think that's what makes it so good. Plus his tone and the delivery of what he does has been fantastic this season. And I hope we get a little bit more time with Hank. So there's that. Gerhardt's.
Yep. So the Gerhardts are gearing up. Hanti's basically setting up his elaborate trap. All the things he's been planning and plotting to do to get out of this lifestyle are coming to a culmination. I guess he's getting the seeds in the ground. He's sowing them seeds, and he's about ready to get the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, he's gonna reap.
And later on in the episode, just to quickly jump ahead, because we will. There's a song that plays. Another one I would have liked to talk to Maggie about. But it's the Sorcerer, not the Sorcerer, 1973 song by Junction.
Yep.
I like to think that this song is sort of Hansi, a narration of Hansi's character in this episode. There's certain lines in this song, such as he uses his powers to hypnotize, stay away from the Sorcerer, where there's evil, he will be, he wants you, he needs you, he'll get you if you don't stay away, things like that. I feel like Hansi is the Sorcerer because he's basically setting up this huge plan of attack that he doesn't even have to really carry out. He just kind of has to lie and set things, like get the wheels turning and set them into motion. And like a sorcerer, like using mind games and tricks and lies, he is getting what he wants, which is you. He wants you dead. He wants the Gerhardts dead. He wants them gone. So he's planting all these seeds. He's being the sorcerer that is the ultimate demise of the Gerhardt family.
Yeah.
He's talking to Floyd on the phone.
Yeah.
And basically saying, hey, yeah, Mike Milligan in Kansas City, they have Dodd and they're at this hotel. You should go get him. You should send a dozen men. And Floyd, being the powerful woman that she is, she's like, I've sent men 3 times to do a job, and 3 times that job has been unfinished. 3. She said she'd be there in 3 hours. She's sick of men not being able to complete the job, and she says, I'm going to do this myself. Even though she really doesn't.
She ain't messing around. I thought I took note too of in that exchange or on the telephone that we revisited the Here Were Hanged 22 Sioux Indians, May 25th, 1882. I still think the driving force behind his little setup here is just lack of respect in general.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, that he's done.
He's done. Now, I didn't catch the body count in this episode. I wonder if it did add up to 22. I think I counted 11 Gerhardts. Not sure how many cops, plus the clerk, I'm not sure, but it would be awesome if it added up to 22.
Yeah.
It's going to be close. It's definitely close.
I don't...
If I had to guess, I'd put it around 18.
Yeah. And they called him Ohansi, too. Did I mention that in the hot dish?
Yeah, his full name is Ohansi Dent, but people just call him Hansi. Yeah. So when they're having that exchange over the phone, I loved how in the Gerhardt home on the wall, you could see the little...
How tall are you?
Yeah, you could see all the little like growth marks for Hansi. Even Hansi was on there. Dodd, Charlie was on there. Simone was on there. Bear was on there. All the little chalk marks as they grew up, you could see marked into the wall. I thought that was a nice little touch because you certainly didn't have to have that. It wasn't a requirement of the story. Probably doesn't make the scene any better, but it was such a nice little detail. I mean, I guess it does. If I'm thinking it's a nice detail.
That's I was going to say it actually does. It gives a realism to the history of their house.
Exactly.
It's integral to the story, in my opinion, as the gravestones in the episode where we're introduced to Hansi coming in from the woods with the white rabbit.
Sure. Yeah.
They're just further setting tone and establishing history. I also love the fact that there were bullet holes in it. Or did you just say that and I zoned that out?
No, I did not say that.
Yeah, from their house getting all shot up.
Good catch.
Yep. That's what I do. I find the weird crap. You're the smart guy. I find weird stuff. So eventually we head back to the motor motel.
Mm-hmm.
The Popo's all settled in.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they're
in their undercover Wranglers and crew neck tees.
Blue jeans, blue doors on the hotel. It's Ben Schmidt's rocking his blue suit.
Blue birdhouses everywhere.
Yeah. I love Todd. Did I really just say Todd? Ed is he's there, but he's a little out of it, you know. Granted,
Oh my gosh.
Somebody just tried to hang him, but he looks a little he's like emotionally jacked up.
I'm so
Like,
glad
he's-
you brought that up because, and when we were texting during the show, you mentioned it, and Jesse Plemons' portrayal of Ed in this episode is so good because he's kind of just always like this dazed, stunned, can't really believe he's this, like, any of this is happening. He has this glazed over look the entire time where his face is all puffy and he's just glazed over, and you can see the marks from the noose around his neck. He's just beat. He's spent. He's in this like reality that it's almost like he can't believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's watching his wife be like a little bit seductive in front of Ben Schmidt and manipulative
she's
and
like, hey.
taking control of things, making. I thought when she was making that tea and there's three rolls of toilet paper sitting next to the little kettle thing. I thought that was
there
funny.
it is.
But I'm surprised. I bet she looked at those and wanted to steal them. Like,
Yeah.
toilet paper. I must have that. So yeah, I think Jesse Plemons' character or portrayal of Ed Blomquist was so fun. Like everything about him was enjoyable, and he didn't even have that many lines. Another payoff, I feel like.
Yes.
I also loved that he was sitting. I loved how Ben Schmidt was like up close to that TV, kind of like Peg was in the cabin when Dodd escaped. He was just kind of right up like there, and meanwhile, Peg and Ed are literally plotting behind his back because the guy's a dumbass and a little bitch.
Well, he's got some. He's eating his chips, watching the show. It is, just kicking it. He's. I still think he's feeling confident that he's with people he trusts.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? For all we know, this is going to be a big deal for him. Oh, I also love that shortly after this, the scenes of Mike Milligan staring out the window, thinking about the times he touched Joe Bullo's hair.
Yes, that was a fun little scene. So we see Kitchen.
Tender moment.
We see Kitchen and Milligan on the road, basically going to Sioux Falls, and nail these guys. And the song "Getting It Back" is playing, which is another brilliant choice. I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the music in this episode was amazing, as it has been in all episodes. But the song "Getting It Back" seems so fitting, as he's like reminiscing, about the good old days. But
Yes.
and he, I love that they reference the touching of the hair during when Mike and Joe were at the restaurant. He's talking about the shampoo, and then when his head was cut off and he touches it again, and you brought that up, like you made that connection, like you said you loved how he did that one last time, and I love how they just like kind of blatantly brought that out again. In case you didn't make the connection yourself, or in case you didn't listen to the awesome podcast Fargo Talks Fargo, I just love how I love that they reference that. I love that he's sitting in there like quickly reloading his weapon. That was fun to watch.
That doesn't shoot out of his sleeve.
Mm.
I can't say for sure, but I still wonder if this is one of the first times we've seen him with just a regular gun like that versus. Because before there was two kitchens, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just there to like hammer out the incredible quotes and witty dialogue, and now he's got more to do because there's only two of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it. I mean, maybe he's just reminiscing because he's trying to get this done, but I don't know. He and Bulo didn't seem like they had a major thing.
No, but I think he's fired up. He's like, it's time to take this back. I'm gonna get the job done. Time to settle this once and for all. Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe. I don't think him and Bulo had like a real brotherly like connection, but
Yeah, we're not talking like Peggy and Constance.
yeah. And we find out Constance over the radio has been strangled by Lindsay Dent. Did you notice in that hotel room, like the decor of that room, how there was like this big, basically like giant vagina?
Georgia O'Keeffe?
Yeah.
No, it was just the wooden Georgia O'Keeffe.
It was a
thing.
wooden Georgia O'Keeffe. Okay, we'll go with that. And
I didn't hear anything you just said. I didn't hear any V word there.
Oh, come on. It was so obvious.
Yeah.
Get
I
your
still love the
labia wall
idea-
decals here.
I love the idea too that they follow Lou all the way to the border. And then when you cross the border, there's a telephone booth, just in case you need to. I always do love the idea of these telephone booths on the side of the road. I mean, we were talking about Mike Milligan at that phone booth. It's like in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
Like in my time growing up here, in the phone booth era, I can say I don't think I ever saw a phone booth in the middle of nowhere. No, outside the gas station, absolutely, or the convenience store. But so here's Hank though. But they're just like they trust him. They don't trust him enough to just tell him to go back to your own state. So they follow him to the border. But the minute they get to the exact border, they turn around and go back as if he couldn't just get in his car and turn around. You know what I mean? That's like one of those movie TV things. I'm always like, so they got to follow him there. But once he gets there, they're like, well, that's good.
I don't think that
He
trooper
won't
really
come back.
gave a shit what he's just doing what Cheney told him to do because Cheney is scary. He even
Yeah.
admitted it. I think he's just making sure he did his duty. Now he's checking out. He doesn't really care either way if he drives back. That guy,
Yeah.
that guy was a goon.
He's gonna go pick up some peanuts.
Yeah. So this is another parallel between Hank and Lou that I really loved because Lou, right at that border, decides, "Fuck it, I'm going back to Sioux Falls. Like this shit ain't right." And very similarly, Hank does the same thing in his hotel room. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gearing up. I'm putting my uniform on. Something ain't right here."
Yeah,
They both
I
have
also-
that. Like, now nobody's gonna tell me what to do. We know what's best. We got to get these people out of here.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna storm.
Also, over the radio, the when is this? When's all this madness gonna end?
Mhm.
Another kind of line in this show where people are very aware of the nature of how fucked up things are sometimes. I'm going to use this real quick to take a sponsor break.
All right.
So, as we mentioned in the show opening, this episode has been this episode and this season has been sponsored by Fargo Brewing, who are a great group of local guys four guys got together and started a wonderful craft brew business here in Fargo. And they helped sponsor us last season, and so they have helped make one of their beers, the Wood Chipper IPA, is basically, it's our mascot, But we love the fact that they stepped up for another season and helped sponsor the show, and we can't say enough nice stuff about them because they help us out. And on top of that, I mean, I still stand by the idea that if they didn't sponsor this, I'd still be drinking their beer because that's just how I roll. But if you want to help us out, you should go to their website, fargobrewing.com, and just check out all the beers they're making that they've got. They have so many more than are on that site right now. Anything, and you should check them out on Facebook as well. So just look at Fargo Brewing because they have such great stuff, and they got a great tap room. So you can also, when you're on the website, you can click on a thing and find out where they have beer and where they are and what kind of events they have going up. But the Wood Chipper is their India Pale Ale, and it's from their website. It's a classic American IPA, bold hop flavor. They use Horizon hops and oats, lots of the velvety body and bitterness. And like they say in their thing, it says we'd give our left foot for a pint. So go check them out. They're fantastic, and we can't thank them enough. I say that over and over, and I mean that because I love it when I love having a sponsor that you have they're real to you. Like you like them, they like you. You already have a mutual relationship, and when they can step up to help things. So So it helps offset some of the costs of the things that we do here. So, really, without these guys, it would be harder for Sharpie and I to be making this show and do a bunch of the stuff that we do. So, second to that, we're going to tweet something later today, or maybe Sharpie will tweet it during the show. Well, not yet. We'll wait till we get the episode up, but we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to do, it'll be on, if you follow us on Twitter, Fargo Talks Fargo, at Fargo Talks Fargo, or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Fargo Talks Fargo. And then we're going to have you, correct me if I've got this wrong. We talked about a couple different things here, but we're going to have you email us or tweet us if you want, or put it on the Facebook page, and we'll look at them all.
Preferably
email
tweet
addresses.
or Facebook.
Yeah. Yep.
So that other people can enjoy your response.
Yes. But if you don't have those things, feel free to email us at podcast@FargoTalksFargo. So and you say, okay, so what is it? So we're going to give away a hashtag Fargo Survival Kit. Did I get that right? I'll make sure we get it right. And hold on, I got to grab it. It's right here. It's
that is beautiful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's this really cool duffel bag with the Fargo logo. And it says, it's a winter car and truck emergency survival kit. This is what's on the tag.
Which everybody should have, especially if you're driving through the Midwest in the middle of winter.
Yep. It says, a winter trip from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to Laverne can be a deadly ordeal in the depth of winter. A well-stocked emergency kit can make the difference between life and death. Kit alone does not guarantee survival. In here, there's a bottle of water, a small first aid kit, and all this stuff's branded. I showed one of the gals at work these mittens that are in here, and one of the gals at work was like, "Okay, I want those.
I really want those mittens. Those mittens are awesome.
They're sweater mittens, and they look so kick-ass. So if you're a gal,
they look like they'd be made out of the sweater that the dude wears or something like that. I mean, not exactly.
Oh, totally. It is that brown kind of.
Yeah.
They're awesome though, and they look really warm. And there's a fleece blanket in here. There's some Jack Link's beef jerky, a little what looks to be like a bag of coffee grounds, but it's actually like a kitty litter gravel stuff that you can throw under your tire if you get stuck and you need a little grip. And then there's some glow sticks for emergency. Yeah. But here's the deal: we're gonna give it away. So we want you to do that, and we'll tweet it out what you need to do. We want you to tell us your favorite line of the season.
Yes. What is your favorite line of this season?
Yep. And when you do it, do hashtag Fargo, or let me double check this.
Tweet or post on Facebook. If you're tweeting or posting on Facebook. If you're just emailing us, you don't have to use the hashtag, obviously. But either use the hashtag Fargo or
let's do hashtag Fargo Survival Kit.
Okay.
All one word. Hashtag Fargo Survival Kit. So tweet it out, and you can do at Fargo Talks Fargo. Say whatever your favorite line is and who it was. You don't have to put full name. You can just put Hank, Mike, Simone, and then hashtag Fargo Survival Kit. And that way we'll look up that hashtag and see we'll judge which one we think was the best one. And then whoever that is, we'll send this out to you. And so also of note, sorry to folks outside of the United States. Let's we're gonna keep this to here because it's this big bag. And
and legality reasons.
So, United States folks.
Sorry, international listeners. We know you're out there, and they've been emailing us as well. So, really appreciate your support.
Yep.
You can still send a quote if you want.
You can still do it. You can still send the quotes. I mean, we'll find something else. We'll give you a runner-up prize, like shout out on the podcast in the next few. So
shout outs are free.
Because we're winding it down here, So there's this. We'll have next week's hot dish, next week's recap. We will have Maggie's posted, and I'm working on getting one other interview that I think we might do it after the show, like a post-show deal. Because by the time we get it scheduled, but it'll still be fun.
True.
So if you like all this behind-the-scenes stuff, we're working on an interview with Justin, who's the prop master for the show. And we love hearing about how they do this stuff. So, take us there, Sharpie. Where do you want to go from here?
Okay, so we
shoot, stab. No.
We're essentially at the final scene, the motor motel, the final motor motel.
Yes.
Where all the shit goes down. Chief
This is
Cheney
where everything
can hardly
everything
control
falls apart.
his boner for the next day's events. Oddly goes into radio silence for whatever reason, because he's just a dumbass and can't make any right decision. So they go into radio silence. Supposedly they turn their radios off and they all go to bed tucked away nice and neatly in their white tees. Meanwhile, Lou's trying to get a hold of them over his radio, saying, because as Lou went back to the hotel to check out the murder scene that Constance's hotel room, essentially, he notices the Gerhardt caravan and quickly tries to radio the motor motel folks and say, hey, Gerhardts are on their way, but because they're all getting their beauty sleep for the next day, because they're all excited about meeting Kansas City, nobody gets the warning. I thought it was interesting that Lou was just led into that hotel room, that crime scene, but we don't really have to go there. It doesn't really matter. But
yeah, I thought it was funny.
But Lou radioing into the Sioux Falls cops is just another one of those walls he runs in, another reference, or another event inspired by the castle.
Yes,
just shouting out to nobody, to thin air, like, who are these authorities that are ruling everything, but I can't communicate with?
Hey, so did you? I knew we talked about all the stuff people get stuff. I had a feeling the UFO was coming at some point. I really had no idea Hansi was going to stab Floyd.
I really didn't either. That surprised me big time.
It was like a total Fredo thing for me.
He tells the Gerhardt crew exactly which rooms everybody's in, which is good because that's all from his optometrist spying. So all the Gerhardts go off, and Bear tells him, hey, you just got to stay here back with Mon and make sure she's fine. Even though he's probably the best killer of them all. But whatever. So he's left alone with Floyd in her red jacket.
Very, here's why I think I should have known she would die. Barry Lester.
Yeah.
Her closing in on her final scenes. What we find out are her final scenes.
And this is in this exact moment is when that song, The Sorcerer, is playing. And you hear the lyrics of the song, and they're like, uses his powers to hypnotize. Stay away from the sorcerer. That's going on right now as we see the Gerhardts sort of pan away, split away from these two, just leaving Hansi and Floyd to their lonesome.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about with the UFO comes, and you already brought up the threes and that there were 3 little spotlights on the ground. Just fulfilling the triad that seems to be happening. Here's what I want to know. I want to know what they're going to talk about. What they're going to talk about in the next episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be interesting. So, yeah, it'll be like a nice, I don't know, a recap or whatever. It will really button up the story nicely. I'm glad that we have a full episode to do that now that the bodies have been stacked. Now we can wrap this story up appropriately. We have a full hour to do that, which will be really nice.
Yeah, I hope so. Who knows?
So the final battle ensues, and it is really fun and really awesome. We see Hank, gear up and man up and be like, I'm going to take charge of the situation. And we see him do some gun battles, take out some dudes. We see Ricky G bail because he's a little bitch, as we all knew.
You have it up for Ricky G so Ricky bad, G. Dude.
I mean, he just peels off like after a couple shots go. I mean, that guy is worthless.
Well,
He
it
couldn't-
just goes to show.
He couldn't take
you
a
can't-
fucking phone call. Now he can't even. I mean, why would you expect him to be involved in a shooting? The guy can barely do anything except for wear orange sunglasses in the middle of the
Item
night.
of note: don't if you want real help, don't call on Buffalo.
Never trust a
Right?
guy named Ricky G. First of all.
Yeah, oh boy.
It went okay. So going back to the Floyd stabbing, I do really, and this goes out to the actor. What's his name? That plays Hansi. This goes out to him a little bit. I thought that his performance during that, right before the stab, was pretty powerful. I swear to God, he had a tear in his eye, and that was really hard for him because you see him. You see emotion in his eyes right before he does it. It's not like a revenge, or it's not like you suck, I'm gonna kill you. It's not like fuck you, bitch, stab, stab. It does look like for a second that this is a really hard thing for him to do, but he does it anyway.
Yeah,
It is basically his mom.
we haven't talked about his character enough in terms of the actor. I think he falls. It's I hope I'm not screwing his name up, but it's Zahn McLaren. I started the show and I just for whatever reason I haven't gotten back into it. But he's good in Longmire.
I've heard that's good.
Yes, it is. It was one of those shows I started and then I just didn't have the bandwidth to like continue keeping up at the moment, so I just kind of put it all on hold. But his character's a lot like Ted Danson too, I think. He says a lot with his actions.
Sure.
But yes, he's good. The whole season's been great.
And when Hansi after the stabbing goes into the firefight, now I'd like to know where this direction came from. Well, let's
get cold cocked in the face after what was it, like a glass of water from Peggy? What did she throw in his face?
Well, no, I want to go a little bit before that.
Okay.
When he goes on his like firing spree in the parking lot, like at the base of the hotel, and there's those freeze frames of him firing, the freeze frames of that, and the guys getting hit. I thought that was so fun and such a great tie into 70s cinema. Again, I don't know if that was like a note from Noah Hawley or one of the other writers, or if that was Adam Arkins, the director of this episode. I wonder if that was his decision. I don't know who that was, but it was such a nice little detail and nice little way of doing a little bit different storytelling again. These types of things, like they haven't done that yet in this season, and that came as a surprise, and it was super delightful. Now, Adam Arkin is actually so he directed this episode, and Adam Arkin is the man who plays Hamish Broker, the Kansas City boss. And for a little trivia for you guys, Adam Arkin directed. This is the first time he directed an episode, and he'll be directing the final episode as well.
Well, they did it in pairs all season.
Yeah, right.
I believe. But yeah, it's it's one of those freeze frames are they're just another fun thing that could have come off cheesy, like the split screens and stuff, but they play so well with the script and the story and the way it's done, and because it's shot so well.
I've seen people that haven't watched this season yet. I've seen them watch a couple scenes, just as they've been at my house and whatnot, and be like so delighted by the cinematography and the directing. Like they look at it and it's because they've never expected it, and they see that and they're like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!"
Yeah,
and it's unique and different, and it's fun to see people who haven't watched the show yet It's fun to see their reactions.
I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know. I feel like
Hansi puts a bullet in Hank.
Yeah.
I was always expecting him to die. Now I think he might live.
Yeah.
Well,
he might.
Yeah, he might.
He's not.
Dinner Sunday?
He's in rough shape. Yeah, but that's his humor.
Right.
When I saw that, I thought I flipped back to the complete heartbreak of what has just happened to them, and the fact that neither he nor Lou know that what's happened to Betsy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine like the compounding of these types of tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
What that's like for their characters.
And yeah, I just imagine I try to picture like what Noreen's doing with Molly all day now, knowing that Betsy's dead. She's probably trying to get a hold of Hank or Lou, knowing, and we're in this era where their like communication is not instantaneous necessarily. I mean, you have phones, but you don't have cell phones. You don't. When somebody's on the road, they're on the road. You're talking to them maybe later that day.
Yeah, hence all the. I think that's the reason we see so many phone booths, though, because that's the way it had to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Before I talk about something about next week, I think. So nice nod, I think, to The Big Lebowski with the cover of "Run Through the Jungle" by Britt Daniel, who's the lead from Spoon, Austin City-based band.
Special little treat just for the show.
Yes. So anyway, I love that, and here's what I want to know about next week. Oh wait, we got to do our Audible thing. You got an Audible pick?
Sure.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the deal. The pick this week is all the previous picks. Because I'm going to get the Maggie episode out this week, and she has a pick in hers. So we'll say stay tuned for the pick. Or why, did you have another one you want to do?
Yeah, I have one.
Okay, well, so here's the deal. You got to go to audibletrial.com/FargoTalksFargo, and you sign up for a free 30-day trial. So no commitment. You can cancel at any time. But when you sign up right away, immediately, if you're a first-time Audible subscriber, you get a free credit for a book. And we've been an audiobook. And we've been recommending this all season, both Sharpie and I. And we find out that many of our people we talk to on the show, they're already doing it. So maybe that's why we're not seeing some of the conversions that we would see, because we see when people sign up. But I think it's a thing, and I think you should go do it. If you're enjoying podcasts, I think you'll enjoy it as well.
So I'm going to recommend a book that, I mean, up to this point, I've recommended only books that I've listened to. I'm actually going to recommend one that I have not listened to, but I have purchased, and I'm hoping to within the next few weeks. And this is a book that's a little bit old now. I mean, not that old. It's 15 years old, which isn't really old when you think of book terms.
No.
But it's by Neil Gaiman, and it's called American Gods. So if you're looking for, it's a little bit of a longer one. Neil Gaiman's amazing author. If you're looking for something awesome to listen to for 19 hours and 39 minutes, that should be your pick.
I think we've been making some really good recommendations. If you're going to sign up and have a free book, and we've been making pretty lengthy recommendations. You think, oh God, 19 hours. But you got to remember, that's the same way you read in real life, is that you just take it off into bite-sized chunks that you can handle, and you do that. But if you're an exerciser or a commuter or anything, I mean, anywhere you'd be listening to this podcast. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
audibletrial.com/FargoTalksFargo. Check it out.
When Lou finally, so the UFO comes, and Lou, and that's a great distraction for Bear. He's kind of just memorized.
The sky keeps on turning.
He's like a bear in headlights. I loved the little detail of Lou offing Bear with an upside down pistol grip. Like, he's holding the pistol upside down the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Which was, one of those things that it didn't have to be that way, but the fact that it was ultra nice.
Yeah.
And seeing the back of his head just spray was pretty crazy.
In that light,
yeah.
too. Yeah. I know what I was... Okay, so keep...
No, go ahead.
I'm going to clarify what we're talking about. I'm still thinking about Betsy. I don't think she's dead yet.
She might not be.
No, I just think that there's bad things happening.
Right.
It's unconfirmed, because I feel like somewhere in the season we learned around where she died, but I think this is the beginning of a tough patch before she she dies.
And
but
if either way, we probably won't see her die because, this
No.
is a theme of this show has been like major people pass away when we're not around. And we don't see we don't see those things happen. So even if she was gone, if that was her final moments, I wouldn't be surprised because Lou's gone and he's not there for it to happen.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
Stop thinking about
so
Betsy
here's what
so
I
much.
want to. Here's what I
You're
want to
tearing up
know.
over there.
Here's what I want to know. What happens next week? Do we get to meet this this guy that we've only seen in we've seen his silhouette played by Adam Arkin, Hamish the broker.
Mhm.
Are we going to actually get to see him interact with people up close and live and in person? Because Milligan and Kitchen show up late and they're like, well, fuck, what just happened here? Holy shit. And they're like, well, let's get back in the car, bro.
We will see him.
I'm asking, what do you think, or what you guys think, who are listening? Because we got another big batch of great emails that I feel like we could talk about really quickly. And we've been getting far more this season than we normally have. So we really do appreciate that. We can't respond to all of them at the moment. I mean, I apologize with some of the stuff, but and so oddly enough, speaking of Rushmore, I'd already mentioned it, but yes, I was in Rapid City. I just flew back today. I went to Mount Rushmore. That was fun, but Mike Milligan. What's going to happen there? We know the Hansi's
Maybe he'll get
chased
credit
down.
for everything.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be
Because
crazy?
he just got off the phone with Hamish and said he was going to take care of this and wrap it all up. And that he's maybe given a little gift and everything's wrapped up. Everybody's gone. For the Fargo Syndicate is gone. And maybe Hamish will be like, wow, I really underestimated you, Mike Milligan. Sorry about that whole sending a guy to kill you thing.
Yeah.
So send your predictions. We'd love to hear them. That'd be fun. And speaking of sending us stuff, Bill and I used to do this podcast called What's Grillin', which was me and Bill and Joe, who's been on the show a couple times. What's Grillin'?
You and Joe mostly. I'm just there to be the
What's Grillin' was a
goofball.
show about grilling. And we've had a couple of listeners come from that show over to this show. And one of those, and this is a shout out to you, Cape Cod Scott, he heard one of our episodes where we were talking about chislic, which is basically deep fried beef, like beef tips. And he had never heard of it, and he's in Cape Cod, and he actually set out to make some chislic for himself.
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic. Thank you for sending. He sent us pictures and everything. Thank you for sending that, Cape Cod Scott. He's even drinking Cape Cod beer. That was fun to look at. I can't believe you actually made chislic. That's awesome. I hope you liked it. I've had good chislic and I've had bad chislic. And bad chislic ain't good. But yours looks delicious. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say we do it.
Okay.
Let's call it. Let's call this bird cooked.
Dishes are done, man.
Oh, or actually, if we're going to be Fargo about it, we have to be like, okay then.
Yeah. And then we'll talk for another half an hour.
Yes, exactly. So, send us anything you got. Don't forget to do the hashtag Fargo Survival Kit.
Along with your favorite quote.
Favorite quote. And if that happens, then we'll figure out a way to get in touch with you so that I can send you this duffel bag.
To
it's
one
really
person.
Cool. I mean,
not everybody gets a duffel bag. We'll just randomly pick one.
Just the one we pick, yeah. And then, I kind of wanted to keep it for myself, but I think, got to give something back to the...
Yeah, those mittens.
Give something back to the listeners. We really appreciate all you guys tuning in this season, and we can't wait. So, like I said, outside of this episode that'll get released, there'll be 4 more for sure.
Lucky
2 of
you.
which you can, some people maybe don't want to hear about our behind the scenes chatter and stuff, but for those of you who do, there'll be more. Because it's still good after the fact. It doesn't have to happen during the show. It's behind the scenes is fun no matter when it happens.
Mhm.
So, all right, Sharpie. Next week, bro.
Alrighty.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see you later.
This is the perfect Minnesota long goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye.